Let me tell you something, my friends. In life, just like in politics, just like in business, and just like in bodybuilding, it all comes down to one thing: making the big deals. When Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump sit at the same table, the world is watching because it is not about the small moves, it is about the big vision. And I learned a long time ago, if you want to be successful, if you want to be remembered, you cannot think small, you cannot act small, you have to think big. And you have to be ready to take the risks that come with it. Just like when I came to America with nothing, but I had the dream, and I was willing to work harder than anyone else. That is what making a big deal is all about. And today, we will learn that the same principles apply to your own life, whether you are building your career, your relationships, or your future. It's all about courage, vision, and the willingness to push beyond your limits. When we talk about thinking big, we are talking about a mindset that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary, the average from the champions, the forgotten from the unforgettable. Thinking big means daring to envision a future that most people would call impossible, unrealistic, or even crazy. It means refusing to accept limitations that society, your environment, or even your own doubts try to put on you. Most people live small because they think small. They think in terms of what is safe, what is convenient, and what is immediately reachable. But if you want to break through barriers and achieve greatness, you must stretch your imagination far beyond what seems comfortable. When I first started bodybuilding, people told me I could never become the best because I was just a boy from Austria with a dream too far from reality. But in my heart, I was already the champion. I had already seen myself winning on that stage. That vision fueled me to work, to train, to discipline myself, because thinking big gave me the energy to move mountains. Now, when leaders like Trump and Putin sit together to make deals, the whole world pays attention, not because they are talking about something small, but because the stakes are massive. Thinking big is what gets nations to sit across from each other and talk about shaping the future. And the same principle applies to your life. When you think small, you stay stuck in the same place. You keep repeating the same routines, you keep accepting the same limits. But when you think big, you unlock creativity, innovation, and opportunities that you never imagined were possible. Thinking big is not just about the size of the dream, but the level of commitment you bring to it. If you dare to imagine yourself standing where no one in your family, your city, or your country has ever stood, then you have already taken the first step toward greatness. Most people are afraid of thinking big because big dreams expose you to big risks and big failures. But the truth is, small dreams come with failure too, except they don't give you anything worth remembering. If you fail small, you stay invisible. If you fail big, at least you learn at a higher level, you grow at a faster pace, and you build the kind of strength that ordinary people cannot understand. This is why thinking big is so powerful. It forces you to rise above your doubts, it forces you to break free from fear, and it forces you to commit fully. Half commitment has no place in big dreams. You can't climb halfway up the mountain and expect the view from the top. You must keep pushing. Thinking big also changes the way you carry yourself every day. When you set a huge vision for yourself, suddenly your daily choices have more meaning. You wake up earlier because you know what is at stake. You work harder because you can see the bigger picture. You ignore distractions because you know they will rob you of the time and focus you need for your dream. People will call you obsessed, but obsession is just the price of greatness. Obsession is what transforms an ordinary person into an extraordinary one. The world doesn't remember those who thought small, because small thinking never changes history. But the world always remembers those who dared to dream big and then backed it up with relentless effort. Think about the biggest achievements in history, whether it is landing on the moon, building empires, or changing the way humanity lives. None of it came from small thinking. Someone had to stand up and say, what if we go further? What if we do more? What if we challenge everything we thought was impossible? That is the power of thinking big. It inspires not only you, but everyone around you. It sets a standard so high that even if you fall short, you will land far beyond where you would have ever reached with a small goal. The human brain is designed to expand with challenges. When you give yourself a massive target, your mind stretches to find solutions. You discover abilities you didn't know you had, and you unlock levels of determination that you never thought were inside you. But when your target is small, your brain stays lazy, your energy stays low, and your potential stays locked. Thinking big forces you to evolve. It pushes you to shed old versions of yourself and to step into a stronger, sharper, and more focused identity. And let's be honest, life is short. Why waste it living small? Why waste it doubting yourself, shrinking yourself, or waiting for someone else to give you permission to rise? If you are going to live, then live with intensity. Live with purpose, and live with the kind of vision that makes people say, this person is unstoppable. Thinking big is not about arrogance. It is about refusing to be ordinary. It is about recognizing that each of us has within us the potential to do something massive, something that shakes the world, something that outlives us. When I thought about leaving Austria, I could have said to myself, stay here, live small, be comfortable. But I didn't. I thought bigger. I imagined myself in Hollywood, in America, on the stage, on the screen, in politics. Every single step seemed impossible, but I refused to shrink my dream. That is what thinking big does. It does not give you guarantees, but it gives you the fire to keep moving even when everything looks impossible. It gives you the strength to break through barriers, the courage to keep going when others give up, and the vision to see beyond the obstacles in front of you. Taking risks is the foundation of every breakthrough, every victory, and every transformation in life. Without risk, there is no reward, no progress, no evolution. People like to play it safe because it feels comfortable, it feels predictable, and it gives the illusion of security. But the truth is, safety often leads to mediocrity, and mediocrity is the slow death of your potential. When you look at the most powerful people in history, when you study the great entrepreneurs, leaders, athletes, or even nations, you realize they all share one common trait. They were willing to take risks when others hesitated. That moment of decision, that leap into the unknown, is what separates those who make history from those who are forgotten. When you take a risk, you step into uncertainty. You face the possibility of losing, of failing, of being criticized or even ridiculed. But what most people don't realize is that risk also opens the door to growth, to learning, and to opportunities that staying safe will never give you. Think of Trump and Putin when they sit down to negotiate big deals. Every move is a risk. Every agreement or disagreement has consequences. But if they never take the chance, if they never put something on the line, then nothing changes. It is the same with your life. You can choose to stay where you are, doing what you've always done. Or you can choose to take the risk and discover new ground, new strengths, and new victories. The fear of risk is natural, but courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving forward in spite of fear. When I came to America with almost nothing, it was a massive risk. I left my family, my country, and everything I knew behind just for a dream. People thought I was crazy, that I would never make it. But if I had stayed in Austria, safe and secure, I would never have become a bodybuilding champion, a Hollywood actor, or the governor of California. That leap into the unknown was frightening, but it was necessary. The same is true for anyone who wants to achieve greatness. At some point, you must leave the safety of what you know and step into the danger of what you don't know. That is where transformation happens. Taking risks also teaches you resilience. Not every risk will work out the way you want it to. You will fall. You will fail. You will be embarrassed. But failure from risk is different than failure from inaction. When you fail after taking a risk, you gain knowledge, you gain experience, and you gain strength. You become sharper, wiser, and tougher. Every time you rise after a failure, you increase your capacity to handle even bigger challenges. But when you fail because you never tried, you gain nothing except regret. Regret is far heavier than failure. Regret eats at you because you know you never even gave yourself the chance. Risk may give you scars, but regret gives you chains. Taking risks also builds confidence. People think confidence comes first, but the truth is, confidence is a result of risk. When you take a leap and survive, when you challenge yourself and realize you can handle more than you thought, that is when true confidence is built. You can read books, attend seminars, and listen to advice, but none of that will give you the same confidence as throwing yourself into the fire and proving to yourself that you can handle it. Each risk becomes a stepping stone. Each time you take action despite uncertainty, your belief in yourself grows stronger. Soon, the very risks that used to terrify you become the challenges that excite you. Another key truth about risk is that it attracts opportunities. The world rewards those who are bold. When you show that you are willing to take risks, people notice, doors open, allies appear, resources come to you that would have never come if you stayed hidden in safety. People are drawn to courage. They are drawn to leaders who dare to do what others only talk about. By taking risks, you position yourself as someone who is not afraid of responsibility, not afraid of failure, and not afraid of the unknown. And that kind of energy creates momentum that safety can never generate. You also have to understand that risk is not about being reckless. It is not about jumping blindly without preparation. Taking smart risks means preparing yourself, building your skills, doing the work, and then stepping into the unknown when the moment arrives. Bodybuilding taught me that. Every time I pushed my body beyond its limits, every time I added more weight to the bar, I was taking a risk. I could fail, I could injure myself, I could look weak in front of others. But because I trained with discipline, because I built the foundation, the risks I took created growth. In your own life, prepare yourself with hard work and discipline, and then don't hesitate when it is time to leap. The greatest tragedy is not in failing, but in never daring. Most people wait for the perfect moment to take a risk, but that moment never comes. There will always be uncertainty, there will always be fear, there will always be a reason to wait. But greatness belongs to those who act even when the timing is not perfect. If you wait until you are 100% ready, you will never move. If you wait for all the lights to turn green before you leave your house, you will never begin the journey. Taking risks is about trusting yourself enough to act, even when the outcome is not guaranteed. History remembers the risk takers. They are the ones who push humanity forward, who break barriers, who inspire millions. In your own life, you don't need to be a world leader to make a big impact. Every time you take a risk in your career, in your relationships, in your dreams, you are shaping your destiny. You are writing a story worth telling. You are proving to yourself and to the world that you are not here to live small, that you are not here to just exist. You are here to conquer, to grow, and to rise beyond the limits that fear tries to place on you. Working harder than anyone else is the secret ingredient that transforms potential into achievement, dreams into reality, and vision into victory. No matter how big your dream is, no matter how powerful your vision may be, without hard work it remains just a fantasy. Too many people want success, but they don't want the grind that comes with it. They want the trophy, but not the sweat. They want the stage, but not the sleepless nights. They want the respect, but not the endless hours of effort. The truth is simple: success is rented, and the rent is due every single day. The people who rise above everyone else are the ones who are willing to work harder than everyone else, not for a day, not for a week, but for years, until the world has no choice but to recognize their greatness. When I was a young boy in Austria, I had nothing but a vision of who I wanted to be. But vision alone was not enough. I had to outwork everyone in the gym. I had to push past exhaustion. I had to stay longer and lift heavier when others went home. That's how champions are made. And that principle does not only apply in sports, it applies in business, in politics, in leadership, and in life. Look at any great leader, any successful entrepreneur, any world-class performer, and you will see someone who was willing to do what others would not. It is the extra hours, the sacrifices, the relentless discipline that separate the good from the great. Working harder than anyone else is not just about the hours you put in. It is about the attitude you bring to those hours. Some people go through the motions, they show up, but they don't give everything. That is not true hard work. Real hard work means total focus, complete commitment, and the willingness to suffer for the result you want. When you push yourself to the limit, you find out what you are really made of. You discover a strength inside you that most people never tap into because they quit too soon. They get tired, they get discouraged, they want quick results, and when they don't see them, they stop. But if you can keep going when others quit, you will always rise to the top. Hard work also builds respect. People may doubt your talent, they may question your ability, they may criticize your choices, but they cannot deny relentless hard work. Eventually, even your critics are forced to admit that you have something they don't, an unstoppable drive. Hard work commands respect because it is proof of discipline, and discipline is rare. In a world where most people want shortcuts, where most people look for the easy way, the person who works harder than anyone else becomes unstoppable. There is also something powerful about the relationship between hard work and opportunity. The harder you work, the more prepared you are when opportunity comes. Many people think opportunity is luck, but luck favors those who are ready. If you are not prepared, opportunities will pass you by and you won't even recognize them. But if you have been working harder than anyone else, when the door opens, you are ready to walk through it with confidence. That is what people call overnight success. It is not overnight. It is the result of years of hard work that suddenly becomes visible when the opportunity finally arrives. Working harder than anyone else also means being willing to sacrifice. You cannot have everything and achieve greatness at the same time. You will have to give up comfort, free time, and sometimes even relationships that hold you back. You will have to say no to distractions, to entertainment, to laziness, because your goal requires your full attention. Most people are not willing to pay that price. They want success, but they want to keep all their comforts, all their habits, all their excuses. That is why they stay where they are. But the person who says, "I will sacrifice now so I can have more later," that person becomes unstoppable. Sacrifice is not suffering, it is investment. Every late night, every early morning, every extra repetition, every lonely hour of work is a deposit into the bank of your future success. Hard work is also the ultimate equalizer. You may not be the most talented, you may not be the smartest, you may not come from the richest background, but if you outwork everyone else, you can surpass them. Talent can give someone an advantage in the beginning, but hard work always outlasts talent when talent becomes lazy. History is full of examples of people who had extraordinary talent but wasted it because they refused to work. At the same time, history is full of people with ordinary ability who rose to greatness simply because they refused to be outworked. Hard work is something no one can take away from you. It is your choice, your discipline, your effort, and it is completely within your control. Another truth about working harder than anyone else is that it builds character. The process of pushing yourself day after day, of fighting through fatigue, of showing up, even when you don't feel like it, develops a toughness that becomes part of who you are. That toughness stays with you in every area of life. When challenges come, when setbacks strike, when life throws obstacles in your way, the habit of hard work gives you the resilience to keep moving forward. Hard work is not just about achieving goals. It is about becoming the kind of person who can handle anything life throws at you. The beauty of hard work is that it compounds over time. Every day of effort builds on the one before it. Every repetition, every page read, every call made, every hour spent in focus adds up. Most people give up because they don't see immediate results, but hard work is like planting seeds. You don't see the harvest right away, but if you keep watering, keep tending, keep grinding, eventually the growth becomes visible. The people who stick with the work long enough are the ones who reap the rewards. It may take months, years, even decades, but if you outwork everyone else, success becomes inevitable. Working harder than anyone else is not glamorous, it is not easy, it is not comfortable, but it is the one thing you can control every single day. You cannot control luck, you cannot control talent, you cannot control circumstances, but you can always control your effort. And when you decide that no one will outwork you, when you decide that you will show up with more discipline, more intensity, and more persistence than anyone else, you put yourself in a category that few ever reach. That is how legacies are built, how empires are created, how greatness is achieved. Having vision is the force that drives all great achievements, the compass that guides you when everything around you feels uncertain, and the fire that keeps you moving forward when the journey becomes difficult. Without vision, hard work loses direction, risk becomes reckless, and ambition has no focus. Vision is not just about seeing what is in front of you, it is about seeing what is possible beyond the horizon, beyond the obstacles, beyond the limitations. It is about creating a picture in your mind of a future that does not yet exist, and then dedicating your life to making that picture real. Vision is the seed of every invention, every empire, every great deal, and every movement that has ever changed the course of history. When leaders like Trump and Putin sit down to talk about deals, what makes those moments significant is not the paperwork or the technicalities, it is the vision behind it. the belief that something bigger can be created, that a future can be shaped, that decisions today can alter the destiny of nations tomorrow. That is what gives weight to their actions. In your own life, vision works in the exact same way. It gives meaning to what you are doing right now. Without vision, your daily grind feels empty, your sacrifices feel pointless, and your struggles feel overwhelming. But with vision, every step becomes meaningful, every sacrifice becomes worth it, and every challenge becomes a stepping stone. Vision also creates clarity. Life is full of distractions, noise, and people pulling you in different directions. Without vision, it is easy to lose yourself in the chaos, to chase after things that don't matter, to waste time on paths that lead nowhere. But when you have vision, you know where you are going, and that clarity allows you to say no to distractions, to filter out the noise, and to stay locked in on your mission. Vision is like a map. It does not remove the challenges, but it makes sure you don't lose your way in the middle of them. Having vision also inspires discipline. When you see clearly where you want to go, when you have painted the picture of your future so vividly in your mind, you are willing to do the work others won't. Vision fuels patience because you understand that great things take time. You stop looking for instant gratification and start committing to long-term success. Every day of work, every risk, every sacrifice becomes part of building that future you have already seen in your mind. That is why visionaries have an energy that others don't. They are not just working for today. They are working for tomorrow, for the future they already believe in. Another power of vision is that it inspires others. People are drawn to leaders who can see further than everyone else, who can point to a future that others cannot yet imagine. Vision creates movements, builds nations, and unites people around a common purpose. When you speak with vision, you give people hope, direction, and courage. You make them believe that the impossible is possible. That is why leaders with vision leave legacies that last long after they are gone. Their vision outlives them because it becomes a reality that others can step into. Vision also transforms failure. When you have no vision, failure feels like the end. It feels final. But when you have vision, failure becomes feedback. It becomes part of the process, a lesson, a stepping stone toward the bigger picture. Vision allows you to see beyond temporary setbacks and to keep your eyes fixed on the greater outcome. It gives you resilience because you understand that one loss does not define the future, and one mistake does not erase the destination. Vision gives you the perspective to keep moving forward no matter what happens along the way. Having vision also requires courage. To declare a vision is to open yourself to doubt, to criticism, to ridicule. People will tell you that your vision is unrealistic, that it is impossible, that it will never happen. But that is exactly what makes vision powerful. It is not obvious, it is not easy, it is not what everyone else sees. Visionaries must be willing to stand alone, to hold their ground when no one else believes, to keep moving when the road is empty. That courage to keep believing in what only you can see is what eventually separates you from the crowd. Vision shapes identity. When you hold a strong vision of your future, you begin to act in alignment with it. You make choices today as if you were already that person you want to become. If your vision is to be a leader, you start acting like a leader long before the world calls you one. If your vision is to be strong, wealthy, or influential, you begin shaping your habits, your discipline, your mindset to match that reality. Vision transforms the way you live in the present because it constantly pulls you toward the future. The most dangerous thing in life is not failure, but living without vision. Without vision, people drift. They wake up without purpose, they work without passion, and they live without direction. They become reactive, simply responding to circumstances instead of creating them. But with vision, you become proactive. You stop waiting for life to happen and start shaping it. You stop being a passenger and start being the driver. Vision is what turns existence into purpose, what turns days into destiny. When I was a teenager staring at posters of bodybuilding champions, I saw myself on that stage long before it became a reality. That vision carried me through every grueling workout, every sacrifice, every challenge. Later, when I dreamed of acting in Hollywood, people laughed at my accent, my body, my look. But I had the vision of myself on the big screen, and that vision gave me the courage to keep pushing until it became real. Vision always comes before achievement. First, you must see it in your mind, then you can build it in reality. The future belongs to those who have vision strong enough to guide them through doubt, discipline strong enough to bring it to life, and courage strong enough to defend it against the world. My friends, remember, this life does not reward the timid, it does not honor the ones who hide, and it does not celebrate the ones who think small. Life belongs to the bold. It belongs to those who dare to think big, who are not afraid to take risks, who are willing to outwork everyone else, and who have the vision to see a future no one else can see. Whether it is world leaders making deals that shape nations, or you building the future you dream of, the principles are the same. Don't settle for average, don't accept limitations, and don't wait for permission. Build your strength, sharpen your mind, stay disciplined, and create the life that others will look at and call impossible. Trust me, if I can come from nothing and turn vision into reality, then you can too. The only question is, will you dare to step up and make your own big deal with life?